Hello everyone, this is Bryant from Bryant Tech. In this tutorial, you will learn how to leverage the GitHub Copilot feature called Edit Mode to enhance your coding experience. Introduced with the release of Visual Studio 22 version 17.13 or later, Copilot Edit is designed to help iterating across multiple files more efficient. Here are some prerequisites you need to follow in order to go through this tutorial. First, you need to have Visual Studio Code 22 version 17.13 or later. Make sure that you have the latest one just in case. And other IDE supported, just make sure that you check the GitHub Copilot page to see if your IDE is supported. And you need to have a GitHub Copilot extension installed through your IDE. You also need to have a GitHub account and GitHub Copilot license associated with it. Now these days, you have a GitHub Copilot for free version, so you can use that. If you're in enterprise, it should be already given to you. Once you have this set up, make sure that you log into your GitHub account in Visual Studio Code. There are different ways to log in, but the easiest way is to click on the user icon in the bottom left corner of the Visual Studio Code window and select Sign in to GitHub. This will open a new window where you can enter your GitHub credentials. Once you're logged in, you should click the GitHub Copilot icon in the top next to the search bar. This will give different options, and you should just select Open Chat. This will open a new window where you can interact with the GitHub Copilot. To use the GitHub Copilot edit mode, you need to select the edit option in the GitHub Copilot window. This will enable the edit mode, which allow you to edit code across multiple files in your project. GitHub Copilot edit mode is a powerful feature that allows you to edit code across multiple files in your project. However, the caveat is that with the Copilot being generative nature, it can generate different results each time you invoke it. This gives quite a challenge for someone who is writing a step-by-step tutorial, as a result may not be consistent. To mitigate this, we'll focus on the high-level concepts and provide few examples to illustrate the functionality of GitHub Copilot edit mode. The biggest takeaway for this tutorial is to understand how to use the Copilot edit mode effectively rather than focusing on what you really build with it through this tutorial. Note, focus on the high-level concept and how to use the Copilot edit mode effectively rather than focusing on what you really build with it through this tutorial. The example provided are just to illustrate the functionality of a Copilot edit mode. One way to think about GitHub Copilot is like a football. You still have a control, but it can bounce in a different way. For example, if I ask a question about how to create a stock application, I can get very different result based on when I try it. For a practitioner, this is not bad, but maybe even great. However, for someone who is writing a step-by-step tutorial, this can be a challenge. The result may not be consistent and it can be hard to follow along. Thus, please remind yourself that the goal of this tutorial is to understand how to use the Copilot edit mode effectively rather than focusing on what you build it with it through this tutorial. The example provided are just to illustrate the functionality of a Copilot edit mode. Now, let's get started with the tutorial. We'll start by exploring a simple example of how to use Copilot edit mode. Before you start, make sure that you met all the prerequisites above. Once you have a Copilot chat window open in edit mode, it will look something like this. You have a few options here, but let's take a look at two. Add files. This will add files into your project. As you keep working on with the edit mode, it can automatically reference so it can use those files as a part of context. However, to make it more relevant, you can manually add or remove files. Model selections. You can choose the model from different available options like GPT-4o or Gemini 2.0, Flash, etc. Your team may already give an instruction on how to use a specific model, or you may get different result based on the model you choose. Later, you will see agent mode, which is even one more step magical from the current Copilot edit mode. For now, let's focus on edit mode and how to use it effectively. Let's start with a very simple example first. Before we start, we need to add a folder so Copilot Edit can work from there. From the top menu, click File, then select Add a Folder to Workspace option from drop-down menu. This will open a new window where you can select the folder that you want to add. Once you have to select the folder or create a new folder to add, click the Add button to add it to your workspace. I already had my work folder here called the Copilot Playground, so I'm going to use that. Next, we'll create a new file in the folder we just created. To do this, right-click on the folder, or if you're using Mac, just to hold the Control button and click Touchpad, and new file from the context menu. This will open a new file in the editor where you can start writing code. I have named my file as calculator.js. So here you go. From the file we just created, we'll start with a very simple prompt. I'm going to put the comment for the JavaScript. I'm going to say function. And since I'm using Copilot, you can see it's already going to suggest, but I'm just going to try to type a little bit and hit the tab button. Okay. So function to calculate some two numbers. And I can just use tab button to go automatically complete and hit enter button and keep hit entering tab to complete and then so forth. Once you have written the comment, you can hit the tab buttons to let the Copilot edit to autocomplete, or you can use this, the pop-up window. You can hit the enter button to proceed further. Most likely, you'll see GitHub Copilot suggesting another suggestion based on the previous pattern, as you can see. So forth. This is a cool feature within Copilot, GitHub Copilot in file. In Windows, there's a cool feature where you can right click or either on the selected line or the entire file itself. In the Mac, you can hold the control button and hit the touchpad, and then you can then select Copilot. As you can see, Copilot, and then you see the different options here, like explain or fix. For now, let's select explain to see how Copilot can explain the code we just wrote. This will generate the explanation of the code you wrote through the Copilot chat panel. If you select the other options like editor inline chat, you can even ask to change things without opening the Copilot chat panel. Like, for example, can you make it with the sorting algorithm? So something like that. Next, we'll finally try to leverage GitHub Copilot edit mode. To do this, you'll select Copilot edit option from the Copilot chat panel. It's one right next to it. This will open a new window where you can start editing code across multiple files in your project. From there, ask the following question. Can you implement the functionality to build different calculation examples? The reason why we're asking such a simple question is that because we want to demonstrate somewhat more predictable answer from Copilot before going too deeper in dive into it. In this way, we can still grasp the value of Copilot edit mode without getting lost in the details. As soon as you ask, you will see the Copilot picking up the file and start to work on it. In your file, you see that Copilot doing some magic to generate the code and make you ask, waiting for you to make a decision. However, at the end of it, you'll see the GitHub Copilot still waiting for you to accept the code or discard it. I'm going to accept, and then I will save. Once it's done, you'll see Copilot edit mode stop working on the file. It stopped there. The main difference between the Copilot chat and Copilot edit mode is that Copilot edit mode actually can start modifying the file, while Copilot chat just give you suggestion and file lines where you can take further action. Later, within GitHub Copilot agent mode, you will even have files to interact with the terminal to compile, run, and test your code. Returning back to the Copilot edit mode chat panel, what will happen if you hit that done button right here, the blue one? You'll see the action clears the Copilot edit mode screen. So be careful if you hit that button because it will clear the Copilot edit mode screen and you will lose all the context. So make sure that you are done with your work before hitting that button. Let's move on to a little more complex but a cool example. In this example, we'll build a simple stock management application using Copilot edit mode. The goal is to demonstrate how to use a Copilot edit mode to build a more complex application. Now, if we type a general prompt like, can you build a stock management application, we'll get a very different result. That is maybe alright when you do it for yourself, but we want to have some sort of control because we have a variety of audiences who are following this tutorial. So we'll start with the more specific prompt. We'll call this prompt engineering. Here's a tip. Human expectation can be very different from what AI can generate. So to make it more specific and the result more predictable, we need to be more specific in our prompt. Thus, learning about prompt engineering is very important. Use this prompt to start with. I want to create a web-based stock management application with the following details. Front end, you can hit the next button with the shift return button to go to next line. Save the files under a directory named front end. For now, just click a HTML, just to create a HTML file named index.html with the following details. The front page says stock management application. It has a table where it has an options to add a new stock with the following properties. coming from data CSV file. And go to next line. Data. The data will be temporarily stored into a file named stocks.csv. Stock CSV has some randomly generated information with the following information: stock name, data, purchase price, units, and then total purchase price, which is calculated based on total purchase price multiplied by units. Last one is the backend. Save the file under a directory named backend. For now, just to create a file, a Python file named server.py, which it can save the file. We can save the file. Okay. So the reason why we want to make it so complex is because we want to have some control. And then the GitHub Copilot can be very generative, so it can give very different result based on what you ask. So we want to have some predictability to make the tutorial more easier to follow, right? So it will start working on it, and then it will give a certain result like this, right? So you want to accept all those things. You can hit the individual one, or you can hit all the button here and then save. Make sure to save just in case. Okay. So what you will get might be totally different from mine, but as you can see, it kind of created all the things based on the directory names and the file name we asked for. Okay. Now let's see what our result looks like by opening this index.html file. Okay. Why are you opening just index.html, not the entire thing? Well, index.html is always going to work as it is by simply displaying the web page. If we go through the entire thing like Python, Java, database, or whatever, a chance is likely that we need to spend some time to debug. So we are starting with this very simple example for now. So here's another tip. Try to start with some simple example first. This might seem as it goes against what I said earlier about prompt engineering, but it is not. The reason is that we are trying to get a predictable result first, and then we can go deeper into details. So start with the simple example first and then go deeper into the details. Now let's go back to Copilot edit mode. You're very likely to see 3 different files. There it is edited the context or working set. Context is a very important concept to know when you work with the Copilot. Sometimes the result may surprise you because GitHub Copilot generates the result as it does not know a certain file exists when it actually does. So it is important to know that Copilot edit mode can use the context of the files that you're working on. You can add or remove files from the context as you wish. Tip is to get more precise answer that meet your expectation, try to add or remove files from the context. This will help Copilot edit mode to generate more relevant result based on the context you provided. Let's remove server.python file and stock CSV file from the context. For the next step, we want to make that web page a little fancier. So we're asked to add Bootstrap library by asking the following question. The application looks too plain. Can you make it look better with importing Bootstrap? For this prompt, however, you can add more detail or adjust a bit to your liking. The goal is to make the web page look better with the Bootstrap library. So we start working on it, and you can see the changes happening. The prompt will generate the code, and then you are still working on 96%, and then you can accept the result and save. Once you accept the code and saved, here is a web page, and you should see something like this. Great, that looks much better now. Again, yours may look different because it is a very generative nature. As a next step, we're asked to start the application. Add back other two files, server.python file, and then also the stocks.csv file. Cool. And then we're asked the following prompt. All right, how can I start the application so I can make it work? Again, you can ask this in different way, but the goal is to get the instruction on how to start the application. You'll see something like this. When you observe the generated result, you should be able to hover your mouse to paste in the terminal like this, and then execute it. Cool. At this point, you might wonder, hey, this is a little inconvenient. Why do I need to ask GitHub Copilot how to start, click the button, and figure it out by myself? Why can't they just learn the code for me? But, well, that's a good question. This is where the agent mode comes in. The agent mode is more advanced version of Copilot edit mode that can actually learn the code for you. However, this feature is not yet available in the current version of GitHub Copilot, so stay tuned. Now, as you keep working on this, you might want to see that, okay, so it starts a server, all those things may work, and then so forth. However, your application may get different result, so I think the homework for you is to figure out how to make it work, and then do debugging, and then add some other functionality that you want to add. That's it for now. Thank you for watching, and see you next time. Bye bye.